Live from the news hub here at Adisawe Kanda in Accra. This is news at 10 on TV3 and 3FM 92.7. You can follow our live stream on Facebook and on 3news.com. I'm Stephen Anti. Let's first start with the major news highlights of the day. President Akufo-Addo has assented to 5 bills, including the Special Prosecutor's Bill. At a brief signing ceremony at the Flagstaff House, the president expressed confidence the laws will promote effective development as well as enhance and deepen Ghana's democracy. And mixed reactions have greeted the setting up of special TV license courts to deal with people who refuse to pay the mandatory TV licenses, with some arguing that the state broadcaster does not deserve the money. A cross-section of the public questioned how the revenue would be utilized. On the mental health, patients in Ghana would have to endure some more weeks without drugs until new drugs are procured. Even though processes have begun to procure these drugs for mental health treatment, information from the Mental Health Authority indicates it will take some time since most of the drugs are from abroad. The Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, has issued an ultimatum to the government to start working on their market premium or face their wrath. The association is also pressing for government to constitute governing councils for colleges of education by the end of the month. And elsewhere, a leader of the militant group Boko Haram has released a video claiming it carried out a series of attacks in northeast Nigeria over the Christmas period. Abubakar Shaku, the head of one of Boko Haram's 3 factions, declared the group active and operational a day after the Nigerian president said the militants had been defeated. Those were our major news highlights. Remember, you can follow our live stream on Facebook and on 3news.com. You can also hear us live on 3FM 92.7. Up next is the big one. Welcome back. Now, an estimated 400,000 metric tons of rice is imported into the Ghanaian market for consumption annually. This is equivalent to $600 million. This has increased the country's rate of access to foreign exchange as more foreign currencies are in high demand for local and foreign importers. In order to reverse this, Ghanaian farmers must grow on a large scale to increase rice harvest in the country. Abanga Farms in the northern region cultivated 1,200 acres of rice during the 2017 farming season. This is by far the largest rice farm ever cultivated in that area. Right, we're fortunate tonight to have in the studio Thomas Abanga, who is a commercial farmer and MD of Abanga Farms. He's joining me here for a discussion. Good evening, sir. Thanks to have you. It's a great privilege to be with you. I'm hearing that you cultivated 1,200 acres of rice farm. That's huge. Tell me how you achieved this.
Well, I think you see there's there's an agency, especially not just in Ghana but in Africa, where we have this vast land with this vast natural resources, and yet and still we are dependent on foreign farmers to feed us. So I think I decided that, look, we need to bring a halt to this. And by doing that, we need to start somewhere. So I think with that sense of agency, especially the love for the country and the love for the continent, with my background and experience in agriculture, I decided to take the initiative and then face it. And then
I am interested in that process of taking initiatives. Let's look at cost and how much of capital you needed to put in. Where did you get all the help from? Did you rely on the banks, or did you just have to rely on your own funding in order to get the project started?
You know, in Africa, especially in Ghana, we have problems with
agriculture
funding. There's a high risk based on a lot of factors. And I think most of the funding that we got was from our own investment and on a progressive way. I think that's how we funded it.
I like that. So your own funding through progressive means, meaning that getting funding from the conventional sources of going to the bank and getting support from government was actually very, very absent for
Well,
your
I think looking at our history, or even the history in the continent, when it comes to the credit system, I think people need to see what you can do. If you have your own initiative, if you instigate your own initiative, and they see that actually you are doing something, then I think people will see that there's a low risk, and they'll start to invest in. So we decided to take the initiative using our own capital to start it progressive, like I said.
To make people understand that you're here to stay. You mean business.
Mean business. And actually, there's actually a sense of agency in feeding our people. I mean, we cannot depend on foreign countries
to feed us.
And the second thing, we are trying to build our economy. And our economy is entangled with foreign currency. Now, the money, the foreign currency that we earn need to stay in the country to build the economy. Can you imagine last year, a couple of years, we spent billions of dollars to import rice.
600 million US dollars this year in the 2017
sent outside this country. And most
to
of
import
the
rice we can have locally.
And we have all this expertise, we have all this vast land, and I think it is about time that we start to put the necessary policy in terms of government, actually looking into putting rice policy. There should be a rice policy from the government to actually start to progressively reduce the importation of rice. And we cannot do that without putting our house in order.
I like that. Let me ask you about source of market for this huge acreage you constructed. You had 1,200 acres of rice. Did you get ready market?
Definitely, we had some partners, and I actually have a mini rice mill that we are working on, but we have some partners who had a lot of interest, especially with Advantage that we've been working with. You know, they have a rice mill in Tamale that has been there for several years. In this country, we've not been able to actually produce at least even 20 or 30 or 50% to feed that mill. And that is a debt on the country, you know. So I think we have been having some negotiation with them, and they are like our off-takers. I would like to actually talk about a little bit on agriculture. You know, in this age of our, in this our age, we are still relying on analog agriculture.
We need to move away from that.
We need to move
When you say analog agriculture, what do you mean exactly?
Well, an analog...
Do you mean the lack of application of technology?
Yeah, you know, agric is science. Everything in our lives right now is science. So we cannot separate science from agriculture. We need agriculture with innovation. You know, we need agriculture with innovation. So when I'm saying analog, we are in a digital world.
Yeah.
If you look back in the 70s and the 60s, we're using analog phones.
So we cannot continue using the traditional farm implements and expect to have the quantities that you were able to produce.
And also, I think most of the critical issue that we face in agriculture in this country is land development, land preparation, research and planning. So if we're able to actually have these issues, be able to address them, then that means that we've been able to set the foundation to actually take off. But I think we need to address land development, land acquisition, land development, and land preparation.
Okay, so you've raised the issues of the next question I was about to ask you, the issue of land development and the other things you talk about. What else are we not doing right as a country to encourage an increase in rice production?
So I will not say that we are not doing right, but currently the government has put in a lot of initiative. They've instigated a lot of initiative. If you look at last year, planning for food and job, it triggered a desire, especially with youth and women, and that's what we've been doing. A&G Agromechanical, what we've been doing, that apart from selling the equipment, we have set of tractors and other implements that will help farmers, especially women and youth, you know, apart from just selling the equipment or farming our own, we also help farmers. So I think the issue of the challenges that we need to get across is to actually have the innovation, the training, the awareness, and actually have government having policies and actually engaging with private sector. It is the private sector that will drive the economy, especially in the agri sector.
Yeah. Mr. Banga, thank you very much. Before you go, what are your plans for 2018 when it comes
I think we are going
to
increase our acreage, and not just increasing our acreage. And I would like to add that as a farmer, I would like to have people that I will mentor. And I think that's what the government needs to engage in, especially in the youth area. Look at commercial farmers, especially private sector, to engage them with youth, the women, you know, so that they can grow together. Especially this should be one of the criteria of actually selecting the best farmer, is to ask them, how many farmers have you helped? You know, so I think if we start to put those initiatives in place, definitely we are out for a good step.
Mr. Banga, great for interesting conversation. Thomas Abanga is a commercial farmer and MD of Abang, a farm in the northern region. I'm Stephen Enti, and thank you very much for staying with that. This is still News at 10. We have more news for you. Please don't go away. Welcome back. Now, representatives of the various law students associations in law faculties across the country have served notice of petitioning the relevant authorities if the Supreme Court's order to the General Legal Counsel that LLB holders qualify without the requirement of passing entrance examinations and interview to undertake a professional law course. Now, the group is also beseeching Parliament and has also beseeched Parliament to ensure the General Legal Counsel implements a system that affords all qualified LLB holders the opportunity to undertake the professional law course. In the case involving the law professor Stephen Kweku Asare versus the Attorney General and the General Legal Counsel on June 22nd last year, the Supreme Court made the orders, but 6 months down the line, the General Legal Counsel has not yet complied with that order. So tonight, we're privileged to have Noah Tete, who is the president of the Law Students Union of KNUST. He's joining me in the studio for a conversation on this. Good evening, sir. Thank you. We're grateful you joined us. Tell me what your concerns really are. That you don't want to write entrance examinations, or you think the General Legal Counsel is acting arbitrary against what powers or authorities it has to conduct its business?
Okay, good evening. Thank you for having me. Our issue is very simple. Order we are saying that on 22nd June 2017, the Supreme Court gave a specific order that the conducting of examination and interview for law students before entrance to the professional level is illegal and very unconstitutional. Now, in their orders, they clearly stated that the General Legal Counsel has 6 months within which to put a system.
And the 6 months ends when?
It ended on 22nd of December 2017.
Interesting. And nothing has been done as far as we are all concerned.
Yeah, nothing has been done. We just know that an LI was presented to Parliament and deliberations went over it and it has been laid now. But what we are saying is that the LI was supposed to be passed within 6 months, not after the 6 months. Because unfortunately, students in Ghana, law students in Ghana, are supposed to study 9 courses, which they take at the faculty level, as in one day, as one paper, to pass before they make it to the professional level. Now, students must study this not just within 4 months. We are in January now. Students do not even know whether we are going to write exams and go for interview. So when is General Legal Counsel bringing in what they are putting in place? Is it going to be this January? Is it going to be February? And when they say it's going to be an examination interview, are we going to use just those 3 months to study all those 9 papers and write it in one day?
So tell me, I mean, from what you're saying, I get the impression that you're suggesting that the non-compliance by the General Legal Counsel is having some form of negative impact on you. What are these impacts? I mean, the non-compliance, how does that affect you in any way?
Expressly stated by the courts, it is illegal and it should be regularized. Now, the General Legal Counsel has failed to do that. All that we are saying is that as it stands now, there is no system in place to conduct exams and an interview. Now, if the General Legal Counsel goes on to do that, that will be clear violation of the orders of the Supreme Court. So then for us, the new people who are coming out from the faculties, who are entering the Ghana School of Law, we are saying that there can't be exams and interview for us. And not just for us, but for those who are coming after us. And all that we are saying is that looking at how difficult it is to have a system where all students of law can have access to professional training, we are saying that there should be some form of decentralization.
Decentralization. So that's what you want.
Yes.
You want the vocational training to be decentralized.
Yes.
So, for example, KNUST should be able to have a license to train vocational lawyers after you pass your first degree. So, really, beyond that, what else are you seeking to do?
Basically, that's what we are seeking, the decentralization of the professional training to the various faculties of law. And if I may say this, we need to ask ourselves the reason why examination was put in place.
Why?
This was just done in 2012, and it wasn't because of quality control. It was because of the argument that there was lack of infrastructure at the campus at Makola. Now we have 3 campuses, one at KNUST, one at Gempa, and then the old one at Makola, which is running the professional training. We have over 2,000 students from over 14 law faculties in the country. Are we saying that still we need just these 3 places to train the students? I think it's about time we allow the various faculties of law who have adequate lecturers to train the students in the professional level, and then the General Legal Counsel can set a standard examination at the end of the training, and then we students can take that exam. After passing, you are called to the bar. If you fail that paper, then you don't have anyone to blame but yourself.
Are you going to go to court?
Well, we are petitioning Parliament now. We are asking Parliament to consider our plea. We are saying that Ghana has moved on from 1976, when Mr. Robin Lukman wrote his article on markets for legal services in Ghana. He made a statement that the ratio of lawyers to persons in Ghana was 1 to 15,000. That was in 1976. We are in 2018 now. Population has grown tremendously. The need for lawyers cannot be overemphasized. We are saying that it should be open. People should be given the access to be trained, which is our right to education. And after that, there should be an exams at the end, so that people who pass that exams will then make it to the bar. And then these are the people who come out as lawyers. Let's not forget also that you visit our courts. There are lots of cases still pending. It's clearly shows
we need more lawyers. So we need to put in place the mechanisms to train more. Noah Teta, we're grateful for your time. Noah Teta is president of the Law Students Union of KNUST. I'm Stephen Enti, and you're watching News at 10. We have more news for you. Please stay. Right, let's move on. Now, mixed reactions have greeted the setting up of special TV license courts to deal with people who refuse to pay the mandatory TV licenses, with some arguing that the state broadcaster does not deserve the money. A cross-section of the public questioned how the revenue would be utilized.
The Ghana Broadcasting Corporation officially relaunched the TV license fees collection in 2015. This followed years of non-payment. The new rate per the law indicates that domestic television users are to pay between 36 and 60 cedis for one or more TV sets in a household. TV set repairers and sales outlets are to pay an annual sum of between 60 to 240 cedis. After 2 years of non-payment by TV users, 11 special courts have been set up to prosecute defaulting TV users and operators. This has ignited some public outrage.
Raising court for this matter will not be necessary until the matter is being informed and people are aware of it. That's all. People are going to pay the tax.
I'm looking at the practicality of it and the feasibility of it. If only that can solve the problem. But I don't think, personally, from my point of view, I don't think it will curb the issue of not paying TV licenses.
To me personally, it's not too attractive. And even the number of Ghanaians that patronize that station, I don't know.
A cross-section of the public doubts the money will be appropriately utilized.
These days we pay taxes and people misuse them. Even those who collect taxes, what is the guarantee that they will present good receipt to present it to government?
Why must we pay the TV license? And what must we use that money for? That is the question. If you know how we are going to use the money for the TV license, I think people are going to pay.
Meanwhile, President of the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, GIBA, Andrew Danso Eninkra, has suggested more education on the TV license fees collection. He also insisted that if the public funds the state broadcaster, then it loses its independence, as the public must have a say in its content. He spoke on News 360.
We will continue to go back to the public and ask the public to play their role in asking the administrators of the national kitty to put certain things in place, to put certain infrastructure in place, to make sure that when you are doing business, as far as broadcasting is concerned, and you are a private individual, you are able to do your work and come out with what you set out to achieve. Now, what is happening at the moment, which we believe is creating all this noise and hullabaloo, is the fact that the public has not been properly. You see, we talk about education. Education is not just one thing. Your grandfather was educated. Probably your father was educated. And you yourself have gone through education. And you're educating your child today. It is a continuous process. You have to be at it day in and out. You don't do it one day and say, but we have told them. Every day, there is a new crop of people who are going in there. The message that you are giving out is changing. The message is being challenged.
Can we compel GBC to stop playing commercials or adverts?
Let me put it this way. There is also another aspect of the operations of GBC which needs to be very independent. Now, if GBC is working for the public, it is the public which is funding GBC's activities. Now, what the public says they want, I believe GBC will have to listen. So if the public comes to the point, they say, listen, we don't want these things. We don't want that. We are not interested in this. You need to be able to collect and collate the views and be able to present it to them and get them to do what you are expecting them to do.
The Ghana Immigration Service has set the 4th of January for body screening and documentation, and 5th for aptitude test. The GIS is asking all qualified applicants to go to the various designated centers nationwide at 7 a.m. on Thursday and Friday. It is also cautioning applicants to be wary of schemes and machinations of unscrupulous persons purporting to be agents of the Ghana Immigration Service who promise to get them listed. Such persons must be reported to the police, according to the Ghana Immigration Service. And that's how we wrap up on News at 10. I'm Stephen Enti. Thank you for staying with us. On behalf of the crew, good night. And there is more news at 3news.com.